Hello and welcome back to the Veganless Podcast. We're here with episode 11 and we have Ped here. I will let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
How you guys? How you doing? My name is Ped Dragich. So you guys can. A lot of times you guys will find me on TikTok, but I'm an artist at heart, outdoorsman. I don't know, soccer coach, and a 35-year tile guy.
There we go. I always like to start these out with one piece of advice for a new hunter. What would be your piece of advice for someone new to hunting?
Go out without a weapon and spend as much time as you can out in the field, learning habits and trails and pretty much the animal that you're trying to, harvest, or you're trying to get more, just trying to understand the animal that you're trying to get closer to. Learn as much as you can. So a lot of times what I'll do is I won't even go out with a weapon. I'll just go out there and just sit quietly and see if I can avoid the birds, the squirrels, the chipmunks, and see if I can get as close as I can to animals.
So kind of taking scouting a step further, really just getting out there, observing, learning how the animals work, how they move, so on.
Yes. I don't think it's really important. Unless you really have to harvest an animal to feed your family, I don't think it's really that important to go out and just, kill just to kill. I think it's really important to go out and learn as much as you can, test your own skills and things like that. I tell everybody it's not all about blood and guts. It's more about how much you know and educating yourself and testing your own skills. One of my biggest questions that I always ask youth hunters is, why do you want to hunt? That's probably the biggest question I always ask them is, do you want to?
Yep. Whether you're after meat or what your goal is. Yeah, that makes sense.
What's the goal? That's really important. I think that if you really have to go out and harvest to feed your family, then as long as you're doing it legally, go out and go do what you need to do to feed your family. But if you're out there if you're going out to just harvest an animal for clout, it's not the right reason to go out and hunt. I think you should go out and become an outdoorsman first before you can consider yourself a hunter. Is what I always talk to youth hunters about.
Absolutely makes sense. I think if you're going to harvest a life, you should be utilizing it in every way possible that you can. Like if you want to, chase rack size, all that, the more power to you. It's your tag. Make sure you're using it all, in my opinion.
Right.
That meat is so good. It's healthy, so on.
Yeah, there's no question that, like my daughters, they don't eat it unless we fool them into making them think that it's safe or something. But it's not my main goal. My main goal, really, as a hunter, is to go out and learn as much as I can, get as close as I can, test the skills that I've learned over the years, and better myself as an outdoorsman first before I can consider myself a hunter.
What's your favorite thing to hunt?
Deer. I love to bow hunt. That's my go-to game. Don't get me wrong. Here in Ohio, we can hunt pretty much everything. We don't have hogs, but we do have pheasant. We don't have any quail. Ever since the blizzard here in Ohio, I do spend a lot of time out bow hunting, and I kind of neglect going out and hunting the other animals that I could. But I do go out and go do different types of hunts, whether it's waterfowl or whether it's pheasant hunting, rabbit hunting, coyote hunting. But my main hunt is bow hunting deer.
Yep. I don't think there's a lot of things like it. I love being out there in the woods, and I too am enjoying archery a lot more than, rifle, for the fact that it's just, you have to get up close and personal in comparison because, just the yardage differences. The rifle, you can be ways out. Archery, you have to really get at their level, get up close, and a lot of things have to go right. So
yeah. I shoot a compound bow, but I don't use any sights.
Okay.
So I'm basically shooting like an Indian, or if you're shooting like,
Mm.
thankfully I was, how do you say, in the construction industry for so many years that, I can kind of look down that shaft and see if it's
Mhm.
when I'm picking up a 2x4 and I want to know if it's
Mhm.
straight or bent,
Straight.
it's
Yeah.
basically just same deal, you
Mhm.
know.
How often do you shoot? Do you practice a lot in the off season to kind of keep on top of that, or just years of?
A lot of people are going to probably be mad when I say this, or they're going to be like, "What?" I talked to Joby Shaw. I don't know if you know who Joby is. He used to be a competition bow shooter for Matthews, and
Mhm.
he gets on me all the time. He's a really good buddy of mine. We talk all the time. As a matter of fact, we were just talking to here, half hour ago. He was out there
Mhm.
chasing turkeys, and he gets on me all the time. I don't. I don't. A day or two, 3 days, whatever,
Mhm.
before bow hunting starts up, I'll get on my deck, which is basically a balcony, on the
Mhm.
second floor, and I'll set up a target. I'll probably take 10, 15 shots, and I'm like, yep, I'm on. It's all good. And then, and that's basically the end of it. But he gets on me all the time. He's like, man, you're not practicing. You're not out there shooting. I'm like, no, man, I don't. I don't. Not that I don't have the time. It's just that it's instinctive. I mean, a lot of guys are moving their bow around. Maybe their pins get knocked off. They're trying to harvest a deer at 50 yards. I
Mhm.
won't shoot nothing over 25.
Mhm.
That's my
You set your
challenge.
hard limit.
Yeah, I set my challenge, or how I challenge myself is how close can I get? Shooting a deer at 40, 50 yards is not my thing. If I
Mhm.
can shoot him at 10 yards on the ground, that to me is the challenge. That's
Mhm.
that's where I get my, how do you say, I don't even know what the word I'm looking for, but that's where I get my passion, is to be able
Your
to
yeah.
get really
Your rush.
close. Yeah, that's where I get my
Mhm.
rush, is to get really, really close to animals. And the closest I got to a buck, and he was about a 140 class buck last season, was
Mhm.
about 10 feet. 10 feet. That wasn't 10 yards, it was 10 feet. And I had to drop my camera at that moment because he was just
Mhm.
walking right in front of me. But what's kind of funny is I still let him go. I still,
Yeah.
I still let him go. I was testing my decoys, and I just said, you know what? It's all good. Just let him go by. You're going to have other opportunities and
Mhm.
bigger bucks. And that's kind of where I get my, how do you say, my thrill or my rush.
Yeah. Yep. Now, on that note, that was pretty close to you. Are you playing the wind or using scent control? What's your?
It's always the wind.
Mhm.
People talk about scent control. I don't care what you do. There is no foolproof method of, how do you say, beating
Fooling
his
a nose.
nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, their nose is, that's a powerful thing. And there's no way that anybody can sit there and tell me that, oh, I spray this stuff on me, or,
Mhm.
I'm taking, I used to take showers in baking soda, wash my
Mhm.
clothes in baking soda, throw my stuff in a bag with my boots, with
Mhm.
leaves and moss and sticks and things like that. But I try to use the wind. Joby likes to use thermals.
Mhm.
The first time, it's kind of funny because the first time he asked me, do you work the thermals? I mean, do you use thermals? And I'm like, well, yeah, man, I wear long johns all the
Yeah.
time.
Who wouldn't? Are you crazy? Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, no, 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 that's not what I'm talking about, man. He goes, the thermals, rising, dropping. And I'm like, oh, no, no, no. I just try to use the wind. So when I'm walking in the woods, I try to get the wind in my face. And a lot of times,
Mhm.
you don't have, it's kind of funny because first thing I'll do is I'll look up at the trees. I'll look at the tips of the trees, the tops of the
Mhm.
trees, and see the way wind's blowing. But that doesn't always mean that that's the way the wind's blowing down here.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it could be circling around. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll walk around and I'll just pick up little furry things, and I'll just kind of let them go, and I'll
Yeah.
just see them,
Like milkweed and.
all that stuff. I mean, if I'm in cattails or whatever I can grab onto, and I'll just keep walking towards the wind. And that's one of the things that I love to do, is go stalking on foot, rattle. people, I don't run through the woods, but I am kind of imitating a buck hot on a doe's trail with a grunt call in my mouth. And I'll get to my stand, which normally I don't go to the same spot every time. So to give you an idea, if I'm hunting 4 locations, I'll hit, let's say A, B, C, and D. I'll hit A today, and then I'll hit B tomorrow. I'll hit C the next day. I'll hit D the 4th day. And then, maybe I'll take a break, but then I'll come back to A location, but I won't get in that same stand. I'll change to a different stand. And I do that repeatedly over and over again. And that's been really helpful for me. And I do see a lot of action. So I don't believe, don't get me wrong.
Try not to burn your spot.
A lot of people sit there and get in the same tree stand, the same ladder stand, whatever it is, they get into it every time. And just because you weren't, seen or spooked, a deer didn't blow and they knew you were there. When you leave, they know you were there. I don't care what anybody says. They know you passed through here. And a lot of times they'll go right up to your tree stand and they'll smell your foot pegs, whatever you're climbing up in that tree. They'll know that you were there. And I tell young kids all the time, it's like in your own neighborhood, in every neighborhood, we all see that same stop sign. We always know that when you come up over the bend, there's going to be a stop sign right there. Or when the traffic crew comes out and they mount a new traffic light. You now know that there's a traffic light there. And I feel the same thing with deer. It's like you put up a tree stand, they see you up there, and then every time they come around the corner, they're going to look up there again, and some people get away with it and some people don't, but I don't even risk it. I just keep bouncing around location to location.
Makes sense. Yeah, definitely if you get busted up there, especially I've seen where they'll look up there, and I've heard everyone with their own little tricks and myths and all of that saying, oh, hang a milk jug up there. They'll get used to movement, this, that, so on, so forth.
Well, the problem is a lot of guys say, well, if she blows, she goes, she blows, I'm shooting her, right? I've had a lot of does blow because maybe the circling wind, they caught wind of me, and I just keep quiet because who knows? Maybe she saw a shadow. Who knows? But you just risk it and you stay.
I was about to say, I've seen does and deer in general blow for just the silliest things, like a squirrel jump scare them or something random. So it's not necessarily over.
Right.
We had a question from Whitetail Advantage: rut or pre-rut? I'm assuming on what's your preference to hunt there.
Well, there's no question that every hunter is going to want to go out there during the rut. We all know that bucks just get stupid. They smell doe and heat, or they'll hear a rattle. They hear a grunt call, they come running in. But I like to go in the pre-rut a lot because you got a lot of roaming bucks, checking out new areas, checking out where the does are. My brother and I call them satellite bucks because they're coming from different locations. And so a lot of times what I'll do is, and I actually made a video of this, I'll take a rack or a shed and I'll literally, I'm making a rub and I'll shake that tree and I'll pretend like I'm actually making a rub. And I do get a lot of deer coming in to see what's going on, but there's no question that the rut is basically, it's the best time to go out, but you'll see me a lot out there in the pre-rut trying to capture, a glimpse of where they might be roaming. Yeah, basically, and a lot of people will sit there and use trail cameras, cell cams. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't. And the only reason why I don't use trail cameras is because a lot of times we see them on camera, but during the season we don't see them. And so for me, it's like a big tease. I can't stand it that I know that he's out there and I keep going out and I'm hoping I'm going to see him and I don't. So for me, it's just better to just not have a trail camera and be surprised on Christmas morning. Oh my God, here he is, right?
Yeah, I think that's a con of cameras, definitely, is some guys will get so hung up on this monster deer, this like decent deer they see coming through there, and they may let other ones walk and never see that one.
That's right. As a matter of fact, there was a TikToker. She's a creator. She was out there freezing her butt off to the last day of hunting season this past season, and she was after her target buck, and she never saw it. And that's the frustrating part is he's there, and you don't see him for whatever reason. But I think it's a tease. I won't do it. I just don't. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have trail cameras, and I put them right here in the backyard just so I can see the other animals walking. But I don't put them out on other pieces of property or public land. I want to be surprised. I want to be surprised Christmas morning and see what I see and wow, oh my God, I can't believe, oh wow, that's the exciting part for me because if there's two, 140 class bucks running around, there's a 160, and then you got these little shag bucks, and you're going, God, man, okay, I know what buck I want. He's the 160, right? So I know I'm going to let the 140s go by, but who knows? I mean, during the pre-rut, you might have other bucks coming in from different areas that you didn't get on camera. And that's the surprise. That's the rush when you see something different.
Or the patterns on that 160 change and him be gone.
Oh, they're going to change. There's no question that a deer will change his patterns often. And the reason why I believe that is because does will move. Hunting pressure, I always say, food will also, where the food is, that's where the deer are. So like, let's just say, for example, if I'm hunting a 20 or 30 acre lot, and I know for a fact that there's a group of does in this area, well, who's to say that maybe they didn't get pressured off onto another piece of property and the other bucks go over onto that property? So it's like, I don't, why would I don't want to use trail cameras. It's I call it a tease is basically what I call it.
Yeah, makes sense. And that's the beauty of it is there's no one way works for everyone. Everyone has their own strategies, their own preferences, so on.
Yeah, there is no right or wrong. Okay. My brother, for example, I love him to death. He's an amazing hunter, but he's he does things a little different than I do. He sets up his ladder stand. It's been sitting there for 4 years. He puts out 2,000 pounds of corn, 2 months before the season. He gets up in his stand and he's seeing monster bucks walking through, and he picks and chooses the ones he wants. I don't do that. If I have to put out a pile of corn to get a deer, then what happens if I get invited, for example, on your property? Am I going to be coming over to your place with, 3 or 4 bags on my shoulder, carrying them out, to bring these deer in? So I look at it as if you're not hunting over a pile of corn and you don't have that option, then how are you going to hunt? So, for example, if you hunt over a pile of corn and I invite you over to my property, and that's what you're accustomed to doing is getting up in your same ladder stand, hunting over a pile of corn, what other options do you have? Are you going to sit there and go, man, where do I set up? What am I going to do? Should I rattle? Should I grunt? Should I go on foot? And so I just say, hell with it. If you don't use corn, that forces you to learn more skills. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Here in Iowa, we can't do bait piles or any of that. Granted, there's food plots and ag all over. So, I mean, however you want to look at it. But as for dumping a bag of corn, that's not something we can even do here. So that analogy there works pretty well.
No, I wish they would change the law here in Ohio. I don't like corn piles. I wish they would just take it away completely. I think if they did, I think our bucks would get bigger.
I could see it.
Because you have, like my brother, he hunts the same spot every single year. He gets 130s, 140s, 150s walking by, and he picks and chooses what he wants. But can you imagine if you're not in that same situation and you only have a 140 class, which is your top buck in that, where you're hunting, and you're hunting him over a pile of corn and you take him out? Well, guess what? Now you're going to have to wait a couple years for the others
to catch up.
Yeah, to catch up. So I think that if they take away corn, in other words, baiting, if they take that away here in Ohio, our bucks will get bigger.
Yeah, I could see it. My personal, like I don't know, I can see both sides of it where it's legal, so guys will do it. The more power to them. It's not really something I personally want to do either.
Yeah.
Kind of right there with you.
Not allowed, right?
Yeah. I'm not allowed, but hypothetically, even if it was, it doesn't seem thrilling to me. But some guys are out there just to put meat on the table. So I mean, if it's there, use it, go for it. It's your tag as long as you're being legal and ethical.
Absolutely.
Who am I to say what you're going to do, you know? But
it's your tag,
I myself
right?
wouldn't. So yeah, I agree with you there.
As long as you're ethical, just as long as you're legal, do what you need to do. Now, don't get me wrong. If my wife said to me, let's just say bow hunting just started yesterday, right? And she says to me, honey, we're hungry. You need to go out and go get a deer. By the end of the day today, I will get her a deer. It's not that hard. But if I have to go into a ladder stand every time and hunt over a pile of corn, basically I can just put my wife up in that stand and just say, honey, all you got to do is just look through the crossbow and just pull the trigger. You know, it's not that hard, right? And where's the skill?
Yeah.
Be honest, where's the skill in shooting a deer at 30 yards right there under your corn? You know they're going to come in. They always come in, right? So where are you challenging yourself as a hunter if you decided that you were going to go to another location or another hunting spot? What are you going to do? You know, you can't bring the corn with you.
Yeah, it's not a transferable kind of skill or woodsmanship.
Right.
So, yeah, I definitely think being versatile is big. So, like you mentioned, for instance, a little spot and stock. So you mentioned ground, you mentioned stand. So just having these different tools or skill sets, like I have a few ladder stands on the property, and then I also have a saddle. That's my preference at this point because I can pick whatever tree looks good for the day on whatever property. I don't have to worry about getting stolen when I leave if I hunt public. And then I don't think there's anything that tops the adrenaline of a spot and stock on the ground, though.
Yeah, I believe it or not, I do. For years, I was a climber guy. I bring my Summit, go out into God's country, hike it in 2-3 miles off the beaten, and I just set up where as I'm walking, I'm looking
for signs.
Yeah, I'm just looking for signs, and as soon as I see something, a lot of times what I like to look for is creeks, and I'll walk right along the creek, and when I see where they're crossing over the creek, boom, that's a great spot. I go 40 yards over, see if I can see a crisscrossing path, and I'm right there. That's all I needed to see, and I'm good enough. Year before last, I bought myself a saddle, and I like it because I can get up in any tree because
did we lose him? Right? Yep, there you are.
So you have to have a bare tree to climb up.
You can't go around the sticks and stuff.
It gets me up into any tree I want, But a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just get on foot with my bow and my rattling antlers with me, and I'm moving. I'm moving from spot to spot to spot. The whole time I'm scouting. The whole time I'm kind of getting a mental, picture of where I'm seeing the good stuff and where I'm not seeing the good stuff.
Absolutely. And what's that?
I lost you.
Yeah, we had lost you for a second, but you're back now.
You still there? I think you froze up, brother.
Yeah, on your end, on your end, you went black for us. Yes. You able to hear me?
Restream, get started. See if we can do this again. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. I'm hearing myself again, though.
Oh, you're hearing yourself again? These are not doing it again. I don't hear you coming through here.
They must have died.
Go into the settings real quick and do the AirPods. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, you froze up there for a second.
Yeah, your screen went black there for a minute too, so I figured.
be quite honest with you, about 4 months ago, they found a blood clot in my calf. And so I take Eliquis 2 times a day. And that was my my alarm to take my Eliquis, and that's why I think the screen froze up.
Makes sense. So yeah, we were talking about being mobile, picking your spot. So the saddle, and I had a question. Do you mainly hunt public, or do you hunt private mainly, or a mix of both? Or
I've got about 4 different lots that I hunt on private. Okay, one is a 13-acre lot, one's a 33-acre lot, the other one's a 180-acre lot, and then one's a 6-acre lot, which a lot of deer are passing through that. So I put myself right there, and it's like a funnel. So they have to walk back and forth, and I just sit there and mostly just get footage. But sometimes I really do want to go out to God's country, because I can't stand hearing cars, people, dogs, planes. I can't stand it. I want to hear, and I'm sure you've probably heard this before, it's a high pitch sound that a lot of people probably have never heard. It just gets so quiet that all you're hearing is just this high pitch deafness. And I love that, because you can hear, from a distance. And
so birds chirping, squirrels playing. Yeah, just the world.
Yeah, and believe it or not, sometimes it gets so quiet that it almost sounds like the birds have been muffled.
Yeah, you like zone out almost. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so quiet that you think you're hearing like a bird and stuff, but it almost sounds like they've muted the volume down, because everything is just so quiet. That's what I truly enjoy. I love going into God's country and just losing myself.
Right. Yeah, just getting away, escaping everything.
Absolutely. Yep. Unfortunately, I go places where you could easily get lost, and I don't have OnX, and you don't have reception, GPS where you go. But I've been going to these locations for so many years that I know my terrain. I know exactly where I'm at, and I don't get lost.
There you go. What's your favorite time of day to hunt? Are you a morning person or an evening person?
No.
No morning?
No. Don't get me wrong. I do get up in the morning sometimes, but I'm an evening hunter. I'll get up, I'll get in the stand about 10, 11, 12, and I'll sit until, dark. That's my kind of time that I like to go. Now, don't get me wrong. I have gone early in the morning, and I've seen a lot of action. But I like to sleep, man. It was like pulling teeth to get me up Saturday morning for turkey hunting.
Right.
That was, God, I had to go to bed at like 9 o'clock, and I think I was still up until 1. You know how you're so excited about the next morning?
Yep.
Oh my God.
Just like laying there, like mind racing, like, oh man, like I'm ready. Yeah.
Turning and tossing and turning. Yeah.
I've had more luck in the evenings deer wise, but I'm absolutely not a morning person. So don't even think that for a second. But hunting and just going out into the woods, like I said, not a morning person, but it's all worth it watching the world wake up, hearing, the birds start to tweet, and like turkeys gobbling, and
that's the
all
best.
that.
Yes.
So I will say mornings are amazing for that, but I've had better luck in the evenings.
Don't get me wrong. I know for a fact that a lot of guys do see mature bucks early in the morning, getting ready to go,
Definitely.
To their bedding
Coming
area.
back in from the food.
Yep, absolutely. And it's a shame, because throughout the whole bow hunting season, which ours starts up in September and it ends in February, and there's no question that out of that whole season, all those months, I think I probably get up for 2 morning hunts. That's it. My wife always asks me, she goes, "Are you going hunting in the morning?" I'm like, "Yup, I'm going for sure." And she's like, "Okay,
Yeah, I believe you.
I believe you." I don't go. And I think it's just because, I don't know. Once I get up, it's different. Then I'm like, hyped, ready to go. But if I don't have everything set up, So you got to think about this for a second. I'm a jump around kind of guy, right? So I don't have my setup set up all there, in the same spot. So think about it. Early in the morning, what are you going to do? Set up a climber? You're going to set up, your saddle? I don't care what anybody says. You are loud, okay? And early in the morning, it's so quiet that you can hear it from, 400 yards away. So it's like turkey hunting is a great example. Our turkey hunt opened up on Saturday. I went out on Thursday, 3-acre lot. I set up my saddle, and people are going to probably laugh at me because I like to see them come from a distance so I can be ready for them, get all the videoing and all that good stuff. And so I was set up with big, huge pines behind me. It was really deep pines, tall, mature pines. And I set up my saddle. I set everything up. I was ready to go. Hell, I even left my backpack there with water, little snack. The only thing I had to carry in was my 12 gauge. That's all I needed to carry in. And it was great because I just boom, climbed up, hook in, and I'm ready to go. But if I'm going to go hunting early in the morning and I got to go set up, I'm already mad at myself because now I know that it's not going to be as good as I wanted it to be. You know what I mean? And so I'm already doubting myself. I'm already like, man, I'm
in your own head.
In my own head, especially because I'm bouncing from tree to tree. I'm never going to the same tree. So can you imagine going in the pitch darkness and now you're going to pick out a tree to get up into? I
can imagine it because I do it. It's like, shit, is this tree the one I was thinking about?
Yeah. Or does this thing have limbs when I get about 10 feet up and you're like, oh my God.
Or the sun comes up and it's dead. Like, no.
Right. And you're like, oh my God, you've been moved or the wind blows. I'm going to be falling down. So yeah, for me, it's, I don't, believe it or not, right now, I have one tree stand set up in my back and I have another, I call it a strap on. I don't know what other people call it. I call it a strap on.
Like a hang on stand?
Yeah, hang on stand. I call them strap ons. But I'll throw I've got one on another piece of property and it's been sitting there for about 2 years. But I can't get up in it unless I've got a saddle, or a harness.
Yeah.
And I love taking naps. So, I don't want to fall out of it. And you can't sit up. I don't know how other guys can sit into them 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. There's just no way. I mean, I want to be able to get in my summit and, kick back, and you don't even need a harness. You're in there. You're not going anywhere. Even though I do wear a saddle regardless, or a harness.
A harness, yeah.
Yeah, I always wear a harness. But, yeah, man, it's hard. It's hard. If you don't have that tree stand already set up, then to go in early in the morning with a climber or a saddle, and I've done it and I've been really quiet, and I would probably rather do it after the sun comes up and I can actually see something. Then I'll hit that tree, climb up real quiet. I'll take my time. And I've had deer come in while I'm actually climbing, So mornings are not good for me. Evenings.
Fair enough. Do you have any memorable hunts? I always like to hear everyone's hunting stories. What's your favorite hunts, or maybe your biggest fails even? If you have anything to pick, let's hear them.
Oh my God. There's a lot of them. There really is a lot. A lot of people sit there, oh man, I got a bunch of stories to tell you. And I got a lot of stories to tell you. I'm 56 years old. To give you a kind of a heads up, I was born in the former Republic of Yugoslavia.
Okay.
Overseas. I came here at the age of 3, and my father at the time was not making great money, but about 5 or 6 years later, he hooked up with Wendy's International, and he was making great money. So he was able to send us, because he was working, and so my mom and my brother, and I, we would go overseas for 3 months, and I would hang out with my grandpas, my uncles, and we were out in the we were up in the mountains, hunting partridge, quail, doves, pheasant, and all things like that. But long story short, man, it's like my favorite, I guess, one of my most memorable hunts was back here. I had, until the guy sold the property, he had 18 acres of land, and then he sold it and he moved down to Florida. but for years I used to hunt back here behind my house.
Mm-hmm.
And I got up into a tree and I'm sitting there, and it was a climber that I left in the
Mm-hmm.
tree. And it was just my, at the end of the day, you get back from work, you don't have no time, boom, run out
Mm-hmm.
real quick. And so I'm sitting there about an hour before dark, and a doe came in with 2 fawns. I'm not going to sit there and tell you they had spots on them, but they were just, your yearling deer.
Mm-hmm.
One was a little button buck. I mean, he had little nubs. I mean, really, really small,
Mm-hmm.
And the fawn, the doe with the one fawn, which was a female, walked off. Button buck, he hung around. And as he hung around, he kind of went around and he started smelling my foot pegs,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I've had that before, but here he is. He's underneath me, All
Mm-hmm.
of a sudden, I look over to my right, and I had a little basket rack 8-pointer come out in the field,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sitting there staring at him like this, and I kid you not, 0 to 60, he went and bam, he hit that little button buck.
Oh no.
He hit him so hard in the side that
Mm-hmm.
the button buck fell to the ground, and he was just, he was done. He was kicking
Mm-hmm.
like this. And 2 coyotes come running in and grabbed him. And one was like around his neck. The other one was tugging and pulling on him. And I was like, really? And I was like, oh my God. All right. So just so keep in mind, I don't have any sights. I don't have anything to hold my arrow. Here I was, on a downward, and my arrow's doing this. And I took the shot and I missed one. I mean, we're right underneath me.
Mm-hmm.
And I missed him by just an inch or 2. And the one took off. The other one was still sitting there. I only came with 3 arrows. And then all of a sudden, I just said, all right, hell with it. I'll try to get this one. And as I went like this, I heard something to my left. I looked up and I saw a monster buck ramming another buck in the rear end. So he was like, bam, he hit him in the rear. I looked over, he was about 45 yards away, and I could just see him, and he just ran right in the rump. And I was like, oh my God. I went like this, and as I did that coyote took off. And I sat there and kept quiet for a few minutes, and all of a sudden, another coyote came in and started tugging and pulling onto this little button buck.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a memorable hunt.
That was an experience for sure.
Coyotes, 3 bucks, a doe, a fawn, 2 fawns. Yeah, it was a pretty good memory. Don't get me wrong, I didn't get anything. But as far as shooting or harvesting, I'll never forget 2 big bucks, 150s, 160s. I mean, they were monsters. Years and years ago, I was up on public land, and I went to the same spot every year. And the one season, this big old monster came out. I pulled back and I took the shot at 40 yards, and he buckled. His legs went forward. He was dragging his chest onto the ground. He was running right past me. And, I sat tight. I didn't even get up out of my tree stand for 2 hours. And I went searching for him. And I even came back the next day. I couldn't find him. So I said, wow, man, I can't believe that. I was like pissed, right? So the next year I came right back to the same spot. And sure enough, right out of the same corner, another big monster came out. And believe it or not, the same thing happened.
Oh, no.
So 2 monster bucks, same property, 2 years in a row. And the second one that I shot, I literally brought back 2 buddies to help me find it. And we searched and searched and searched, and we just could not find it. It was really dense. So if you can only imagine, it's so thick and ravines, and it gets really thick down at the bottom, and it's just swampy. And, you're not going to, you'll be lucky to even find a rabbit would have struggles getting through it, but that's where I like to hunt. I like to hunt the thick stuff,
Yep. Usually that's where other people aren't willing to go.
No, they're not willing to go. They want, open woods where you can see from, 70, 80 yards away. I think the denser, the better, because bucks are not stupid. They want to have a low profile going through. And so you'll find me in the thick stuff a lot.
Yeah, that's how our place is. It's thick, overgrown stuff, and then it's surrounded by all the ag fields and all that. So they go in there for cover and bedding. And
Yeah.
So
Everybody has their own. Like I said, everybody has their own ways and methods of hunting.
right.
I'm not going to tell you mine's the right way. I'm not going to tell you that yours is the right way. I think that the more that you go, the more that you test your skills, the better you're going to get, and the more success you'll have.
Yeah, you kind of find your own niche and get good at that. So
Absolutely.
let's talk a little bit about this stuff behind you.
All right. So besides me being an artist at heart, I'm actually an inventor. And as a matter of fact, if you give me 1 second, I'm going to jump off screen and I'm going to show you something real quick. This is, I really didn't even bring this for this occasion. I just happen to have this here with me just in case, because I like to paint. So I invented a wavy canvas. Look.
Oh, that's cool.
It's like lightweight. I mean, you can literally, with one finger, you can hold it up. And it's double-sided and it's curved. So you can paint all sides. And so this is what I invented, this wavy canvas frame in 2016. And I've got the patent for it now. And I exclusively paint my original artwork on it and sell it in galleries. But, you know, having that artistic, you know, creative, non-orthodox mind, I guess you could say. And then also having my construction background, because, you know, I've been in construction for, I don't know, 35, 40 years, you know, working with my dad since I was 12 years old, gave me the knowledge to be able to, if I see it in my head, I can make it, right? So it just takes me a matter of time to work out the kinks and stuff. And me being an outdoorsman and being out there hunting, I'm like, you know, why don't I create something that others could use, and it's lightweight and it's durable and it's waterproof, and so what I did was I created a decoy, a silhouette, and this is the new turkey decoy that I came up with. I think the cool thing is I added this little, it's called an action pin. So basically you'll put it in this little hole right here, and that will limit when the wind's blowing a lot.
Yeah, so it doesn't spin in circles.
Right, so it doesn't spin around in circles. So what I did was I came up with a deer decoy first. As a matter of fact, Fozzie Doe right here behind me was the first decoy that I created. She's a full body decoy, you know, waterproof, and I can fold her up. And, you know, I had to test her out. So 2 years ago, I took my prototype out and I got a lot of action. And I was like, whoa, hold on a second. Let me continue with this. So I came out with 2 more decoys. The buck, called the player. I call him the player because he's playing 3 different roles. He's got his head down, looks like he's feeding. He looks like he's hot on a doe's trail. And he also looks like he's submitting to another buck. And then I created Dilly Doe, which is a feeding doe. It's something that we all hunters see out in the field all the time. And then after that, I started thinking to myself, you know, I should, how do you say, a human decoy. And so I came up with the landowner, which is a decoy to deter other hunters from coming onto your property. And then I decided I would create the hunting buddy. They're all double-sided, and they have the hunting buddy and the landowner have 2 different images. On one side of the landowner, he's got, you know, binoculars, and on the other side, he's doing this. And with the hunting buddy, you know, he's lighter camo or greener camo and he is to leave in your stand, leave in your blind to educate the deer, to get used to seeing something up there. And then when you get there, you just pack him up, put him in your backpack and take his place. Then, of course, you know, turkey hunting came around and I created the turkey decoy. And then I'm just, as a matter of fact, I just gave my prototype to my brother today. We went out coyote hunting, and he's got Brody the coyote decoy, which is a silhouette of a, of a coyote. If you're an outdoorsman and you're watching animals and observing a lot, you should know what they're saying, how does he look? What is he saying? What is he thinking? And so I picked the images that I think that are suited for what's going to be your best success. And the coyote is kind of quartering away, looking back at you like, are you coming or not? And that'll bring in a coyote because they're very territorial. And then here, right before hunting season opens up, I'm going to blow your guys' mind with the duck decoy that I'm going to create. It's going to be very lightweight. It stands up just like this on water. You'll be able to carry 50 of them in your little bag. They're going to be very lightweight, waterproof. I think that's going to be really cool. I can't wait to get that one out, but that's still not even on my website. So
yeah, that's going to be exciting. Not needing like an enclosed trailer to bring your duck set up.
No way, impossible. As a matter of fact, I know I had. Give me 1 second. I'll give you a glimpse of what she's going to look like.
All right.
I don't show very many people this because obviously there's a lot of thieves out there that want to steal your ideas. That's why I do not show anybody on TikTok how I make my products. But
that looks awesome.
And I've had to go through a lot of prototyping. I probably went through 20 of these. I bet
that one sets its own challenge too, being out on the water versus on a stake.
Yeah, it was a great challenge to me because, and that's something that I just can't sleep at night when I've got this thing in my head that I have to figure out. And this one was a huge challenge for me because what I put into it is really important because the weight, the balance, everything has to be perfect. And I kid you not, she sits just like this on the water. I mean, literally just sits just like this. So yeah, you'll be able to take about, 50 of these and throw them in your backpack and go hunting, and not have to carry in bags of the stuff. So, so there'll be a hen, there'll be a drake, and then I'll have the flats, which, they're all going to have like a little grommet where you can like tie a string or whatever to, but you'll see a drake on one side and a hen on the other. So if you want to put out, if you got 10 of them or 12 of them, you can put out, 2 drakes and, put out 8 hens if you want, or you can go 50-50, however you want. So I'll have that option available.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. What is your turnaround on average if you order something from the website?
3 days.
3 days?
I have a lot. I've been stocking up. I've been stocking up for this season. Last season, believe it or not, you're going to think this is really crazy, but by the time I got my website up and I had probably 20 decoys made, it was already November 8th. So I was already late in the game. Late, So what I did was I tried to advertise. I tried to do as much as I could. And I did sell. I sell quite a few. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that I was at one point I had this, I was getting orders and the 20 went. And then I was still working on, dilly dough, the eating dough. That was one that I wanted to bring into the mix. She still wasn't even on the website. But the whole time I was thinking about the landowner, the guy in orange. And in November, it was like 16, 17 November. I finally got him on the website. And I even had a little bit of time to make him. And I sold 50 of them, just like that. I mean, they were gone. I couldn't even keep up. And so I just said, hell with it. Now I got to try to keep moving. What's the next hunting? What's the next hunt? Turkey hunting. Well, get that on the website, work on the prototyping, make some to where I can sell them. Again, late in the game. I don't think I'm going to be late with the ducks this year, though. I'm going to have
Yeah, from what I hear from people in the industry is, you have July 4th and July 5th, there's like a switch that flips. Everyone starts thinking about hunting again. And that's when stuff just ramps way up. So you'll be ahead of that curve for this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really hoping because I've got a connection. I might be getting into one of the local stores, hunting stores here. They've got 5 locations. I think 2 or 3 here in Columbus and a couple in Cincinnati. And I made a good connection with a great guy over there, and he already wants 50 of them. So he's like, get yourself ready. for the season. I'm like, yeah, damn right. I'll have it all ready. Don't worry. So yeah, I have this summer to kind of like ramp up and get stocked up. Right now, I'm probably sitting at about 150 of, her. I've got about 100 each of the buck and the doe feeding. I'm still making turkey decoys because you know what? I may not sell them all this season, but I'll have them ready for next year.
Yeah, I think I need one of the strutting turkeys.
This guy right here?
Yeah, I think I need one.
I'm going to be honest with you. I had some comments about him.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are telling me that, it's a silhouette. It's two-dimensional, right? I mean, so, turkeys are really smart and they know the difference, right? But if a turkey sees this and he's just moving in the wind, and which, by the way, man, I'm not joking when I tell you this. These things, like, it's crazy because I paid $200 for a strutting tom. I think you know which one I'm talking about.
Yep.
And what's sad is it doesn't matter how much the wind blows, they don't move. See that?
Yep.
It just takes a little bit of wind to get these things to go.
And then you have the grommet there for the stake so it doesn't flip all the way around too.
Yeah, for the little action pin it'll control how much you want him to move so he's not just, spinning around and around and around.
I mean, people say that, but at the same time, you see people just like tape fans to a stick and walk up on them. So like, I don't think it being two-dimensional. And from here, the one behind you looks like it has depth.
This one?
Yeah.
Believe it or not, he's not even out on the market. I have not even made a name for him. So this is the same decoy, but if you look at the difference in size.
Okay.
So he's a much bigger decoy than this one right here. And what's kind of nice is you can actually take them, fold them up. Like this one right here is a brand new one, so he hasn't even been folded up. But basically, you fold them up, throw them in your backpack. You can slip them in, and then when you're ready to go, just spring them open.
That's exactly why I'm wanting to grab one of those, because I'm tired of carrying full size, non-collapsible decoys and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, talk about lightweight. This thing is like ounces. This is not a pound.
I'm always carrying camera gear and stuff too, right? So I try to shed weight where I can.
Oh my God, camera gear. You got GoPro, you got your digital, you got your,
tripod and extra batteries and.
As a matter of fact, I had a buddy of mine. He called me up the other day and he says, "Man, I saw your decoys on your site." He goes, "I really love them." He goes, "How much do they weigh?" And I was like, "Dude, they weigh so little." He goes, weigh 5 or 6 of them for me. And as a matter of fact, these are the 5 that I actually threw on a scale, and it was like 1 pound.
Jeez. Yeah, that's it's wonderful. And they're not bulky, you can actually just toss them in a bag or whatever and not eat up space.
Yeah, believe it or not, you can fold these, so you can collapse them like this if you want. And then, when you're ready to go, you can just pop them open. But I just throw them in my bag like this. You know what I mean? I throw them in like this. And lately I've been taking out 15 of them.
Yeah.
Just to create drama. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just to see what happens. And, I'll bring the sticks. I'll bring the action pins with me. And it's crazy, man. It's so lightweight. I love it. He's been a little, I'm not gonna say a challenge, but because he's so big, you can't really stick him in a bag. So I got all the other turkey decoys in my backpack, but I just carry him. I mean, think about it. These other decoys that are like the strut and tom, right? You got to throw them in a bag, right?
Yep.
Right. So you got to throw them in a bag.
More to lug in.
Yeah, you got more to lug in, and it's
a lot of people have a blind and then decoys and then their bag and their bow, and
there's a lot to carry out. This is for the guy that wants to go out there and not carry, all this stuff that's heavy and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I can easily break out 20 or 30 decoys, and I might not be able to put them in my backpack, but I'll guarantee you I'll be able to put them in those bags that guys carry for decoys.
Right. Except be the weight of one of a normal one. Like, yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see if you end up developing some sort of head-on buck one down the road.
I've already thought of it. I've already, how do you say, played around with that. I've had people approach me to try to create them one where they can go in and, get close to them. And you got to understand that it's a liability risk.
Yeah, that is other hunters shooting or so on.
As a prototype, just for shits and giggles, in fact, honestly, because I am an instinctive hunter, I only needed a 2-inch hole, and I made a hole. I think it was right here. It was right here.
Yeah, I think you sent me a picture of that earlier. Yeah.
I mounted on the front of my bear. Oh man, it's lightweight. It's great. You don't even feel it on there. But I keep thinking about the liability risk.
Yep.
I don't want somebody to get shot on the account of what I created.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, it's a challenge and people love doing it, but I don't want my name on it unless I have an attorney write up some really interesting clause, and maybe you have to sign, something on the website that, that's probably the only way I'll do it. But yeah, front on buck, spacing you. Yes.
Yep. Yes. Well, if you develop it and need someone to test a prototype, I'll sign whatever you need. No.
Done. All right, that's cool. That's fine.
Wild game freaks. What's up, fellas? Just shooting the crap, talking about decoys now and kinds of fun stuff. Look at those decoys in his background.
Well, the one here on the wall is
plus one.
It's not a decoy, but I do have some behind me here. The other thing I was going to mention, Daniel, is and I don't think anybody else has this. My stick is adjustable up to 4 inches.
Yeah, I think most of them are just that same plastic stick that you just ram in.
And then think about it. You stick it in the ground, and you know how it is in the springtime. The grass grows up so tall, she almost looks like she's laying down in the grass.
Yep.
So what I did was I created this system to where you can actually adjust up to 4 inches in height. And bring them up off the ground a little bit, which really does help, And I do put a lot of money and time and effort into creating this thing. And it's steel shaft.
Yep. Yep. Like I said, most of the ones I've dealt with are like a plastic, and it's just kind of a pain in the butt sometimes, depending what terrain you're stabbing it in. And
absolutely. And a lot of guys will sit there and say, well, what's your price point? And I'm like, it's about the same cost as what you're going to buy a solid decoy, right? And they're like, yeah, but yours is just a silhouette and these things are solid. Well, look at the advantages compared
yours to is mobile and
lightweight, waterproof, tear resistant. Believe it or not, I'm not going to sit there and I'll just for demonstration purposes, you can't tear them. I went to a Ohio Turkey Deer Expo, whatever, here in Columbus, and I actually was daring the biggest guys in the house to tear it. And I told them I'd give them $100 if they could tear it. And they couldn't tear it. And I was looking for the biggest guys in the house. And we're talking about big guys, and they could not tear it. They're like, damn, what the hell is this thing made out of? So it's neoprene.
Some good research and development.
Yeah, it's neoprene with a great vinyl on the outside is exactly what it is.
Nice.
Yeah, man, I just want to produce a product that people are going to be happy with. You know how it is. You go out and you go buy a product, and next thing you know, it fails or breaks or rips. Or I don't think that's fair to us. It's all made.
Not what we spend either.
No, I mean, and you know how we are. We blow our money, right, on all kinds of gear, all kinds of stuff. And you expect it to be good, and then you sit there and you look at the box, and it's like made in China. Really?
Yeah. Or you take it out, it falls apart the first time, or.
Oh no! I've tested them. I go out and do a lot of research and development. I try to break them. I try to rip them, and I want to produce something that's good, so people will be happy with what I've give it, something that I'm selling, and they're like, man, this is really good. I can't even carry it. It's waterproof. Another thing is, it's like, let's just say, for example, you don't want to use this, right? That day. I mean, you do, you don't, whatever. And all of a sudden it starts raining. It's going to keep your ass dry. You're not going to get wet. It's waterproof,
Right.
And so it's another thing that I'm always thinking ahead,
There you go.
Product out to people, that's all.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I obviously haven't had one in my hands yet, but everything I've seen, I've really been considering it. I'm usually not a decoy hunter. Like, I don't decoy hunt with deer at this point, but the turkey has intrigued me because I'm sick of carrying the bulky ones in, as mentioned, and it'd be nice to just toss it in a bag at weigh nothing and then
nothing.
throw it up.
Think about it. How many decoys do guys usually carry out? I mean, it's like one of the questions that maybe your viewers, I don't know how many might be on there, but it's a great question for them if they're turkey hunters. How many decoys do you normally take out when you go out turkey hunting? And the biggest answer I've gotten when I've talked to people is they usually say about 2 or 3. They get a strutting tom, or they get a jig, hands. And if you think about it, think about you carrying in, your seat, set a pop-up little blind that you're gonna, your gun, your backpack, and an extra bag with, the decoys. Dude.
Yeah, and they're bulky. Like, there are some collapsible ones and stuff too, but a lot of people go spend money on, the bulky, like full formed ones, because usually they're painted and look better.
I bought one. I mean, I bought that. I don't even know what it's called. I think you know which one I'm talking about. It's not the what's the name of that? It's the one. It's like beautiful. I mean, full body all the way around. The tail comes off. It's plastic. You can fan it out. Strutting tom. It cost me like $200.
Yeah, there's like AVNX, and there's like, I think those are all in like the 250 to 300 range, if I remember correctly.
Exactly what it was. It's exactly what it was. And I bought one.
Then there's like Flexstone and other random.
And I bought one. And it's like, go ahead and take that thing out with 2 hens and your gun and your backpack and your seat.
It gets bulky.
Oh man, you're not riding around in a quad. We don't. Some of us don't have the luxury of getting in our pickup truck and riding out to a field and unloading it. Sometimes we have to go on the public land, and you're not going to go right next to the parking lot. You're going to go deep. So it just makes it easy, makes it lightweight, and
Yep. Like I said, definitely gonna be snagging some turkey ones, whether it be for next season or what.
Yeah, definitely let me know. I'll hook you up for sure.
Appreciate it.
On a meal deal.
There we go. Let's see. So, I mean, we're coming to the end of our hour here. Do you have any other advice or any shout outs or self promo or any of that?
The product is called, obviously, it's BuckInABag. Is the if you want to look into the website, it's just called BuckInABag. Shout outs, man, I don't know, to all my friends out there on TikTok. I hope you guys do well hunting season. I'm not your, how do you say, avid turkey hunter. Believe it or not, I've got my little slate call here, and it's also made in China. Little striker here, and the most I can get away with is, that's it. I hit that thing in the morning, I hear him gobble, and I put that damn thing down, and usually they come in. So I really can't give any advice for turkey hunting, even though I have shot, some birds in my time. Deer hunting, the best piece of advice I can give to anybody that's watching or listening is go out there without a weapon. Go out there and challenge yourself. Learn more, their habits. Just watching the deer, how it moves, what it's doing, can really teach you a lot. If a doe puts her tail up and it goes like this, they think that she's spooked and she's running off. Believe it or not, if a doe comes in and she puts her tail up like this and she brings it back down like that, $1 million, there's another deer coming up behind her. So basically what she's doing is she's raising her tail to let that deer behind her know that I'm here. So that's a little thing that I learned over the years. Don't rush into the woods. Take your time, as much time as it takes. Go in stealth. Avoid the birds. The birds are guaranteed. Deer do recognize that birds, the way they chirp, they're startled. So just take your time and learn as much as you can. Challenge yourself without a weapon. It's not all blood and guts. And challenging yourself to become a better outdoorsman first, and then a hunter second.
Corey says, Ped.
What's up, Corey? I can't. I'm not reading the comments. My friend here is, but I'm glad you jumped into the live stream. Just sitting here, just talking away. My theories and my my viewpoints and things like that. Like I said, I'm not the best hunter out there. I don't think there is. Truly, I don't think there is a best hunter out there. Okay. Mm-hmm. Just because you killed a 190, class buck, 210, that doesn't make you the best hunter. My nephew went out the first day of bow hunting season in my brother's honey hole spot. He wasn't even in the stand for 42 minutes, and he killed himself a 185. And he only went out one time, one day, 42 minutes, and he killed himself a monster. And he called me up and he said, "Uncle, man, I just killed a monster." And I'm like, "Yeah, and?" I was like, "What'd you do?" He goes, "What do you mean, man? I just killed a monster." I said, "But what did you learn? What did you learn? You got up in that ladder stand, you sat there for 42 minutes, and a monster came in and you shot it over a pile of corn. What did you learn?" And he says, "Well, now that I've shot my monster, maybe you could take me out and you could teach me some things." I'm like, "I'm happy for you, but I'm not." And he was like, "What do you mean you're not happy for me?" And I'm like, "Well, what do you know about rattling? Did you ever use a grunt call? Do you know what crisscrossing trails mean? Do you know where to find the food, where they're bedding? Do you know any of that stuff?" He goes, "Well, I'm willing to learn, but man, I just got myself a monster. Aren't you happy for me?" I'm like, "Not really. I'm not really happy for you because it's just the luck of the draw. So you go out one day, you see them, one day you don't. You can hunt the same spot the whole season. I could come in one blind day and I could shoot the target buck in those woods just because I just happen to be there at the right time at the right place. That's all."
Corey says, "Wizard of the Woods" right here.
Yeah, he's the waterfowl hunter, man. He's no joke. This guy is waterfowl. And by the way, Corey, if you were listening, you keep your eyes and ears open on sometime in August, probably, I don't know, July, August, September, right there. You got to just kind of look at my website because I've got a decoy. I'll give you. I'll show it to him. It's going to blow your mind, brother.
Seeing it here first.
This is a little hen. I'm not going to show you the backside of what I've got back in here because there's another portion to this that I'm not showing you guys. But you're going to love it because she's going to stand up just like this on the water, straight up on the water, straight up. It's going to blow your mind. You carry 50 of them in your backpack. Really, it's going to be great.
It's exciting stuff.
Yeah, man. And I really appreciate you bringing me on. I don't do very many podcasts, but when people do ask me, I'm game. I'm willing to share my thoughts. And a lot of times it's really just, I'm hoping that younger hunters don't go out there just to gain clout. I want them to go out and learn more and
be a better woodsman.
Yep, become an outdoorsman, a woodsman first, yes, and then a hunter second. Correct. Yes, absolutely.
For sure. So we'll give this last couple of moments. Anyone has any questions in the audience or any of that, feel free to ask. What about you? Did you tag out for turkey season or do you still have some more hunting to do?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Man, if I showed you the gobbler that I just let go, again, what am I going to do with it? What am I going to do with it? Pay $700 to have another one mounted for what? My wife's going to kill me. She'll sit there and say, "Are you kidding me? You know how many groceries and what we could buy with that?"
Have you seen Have you seen where people are taking the fans and feathers and basically putting them in kind of a portrait? So they'll frame them?
Yes, I have one. I have a plaque
You do?
like that with the spurs and the beard, and it actually has a little plaque. It tells you
Mm-hmm.
the size of the spurs, the date I shot it.
Mm-hmm.
But what am I gonna do, man? Kill it and what? Who's gonna eat it? I'm gonna have to give it to somebody to eat. I'm sure maybe my wife would probably prepare a good turkey, but she's
Mm-hmm.
like, "You're gonna pluck it, you're gonna gut it, you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
quarter it up," and I'm like, "Oh, that's fine. I'll just go
I'll just go
videotape
to the
them.
store. Yeah.
I'll just go videotape them." And
Mm-hmm.
it's a challenge. Don't get me wrong; it's a challenge to get a turkey. I think turkey
Mm-hmm.
are very very smart birds. I mean, it's not an easy thing to get.
Their eyesight is.
Amazing, amazing. But no, it's for me nowadays. It's just videotaping. It's getting the.
Mm-hmm.
I call it the proof in the pudding to show people that
Your
a
stuff
solo.
works and.
It works. That's right. That's my
Mm-hmm.
main goal. And if you
Perfect.
talk to Corey, Corey's gonna, or Joby or one of the other guys that really
Mm-hmm.
know me really well. They'll tell you, man, I'm passing up bucks. I send them videos. I'm like, yeah, I saw this buck today. And they're like, man, why didn't you shoot that thing? I'm like, come on, you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'd never see a buck that big. I'm like, come on, whatever. So people will tell me all the time, you give us all these tips, but where is the kills? We want to see the kills. And I'm like, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
You're never going to see them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I'm not about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if more of us, how do you say, if more of us wiser hunters and elderly hunters, older hunters, if we teach the younger kids it's not all about this, then maybe they'll go out and try to learn more, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe we will help someone save their life. Because what's going to happen is you got these kids shooting at shadows, they're climbing up trees
Mm-hmm.
without harnesses, and it's not all about clout. We need to do a better job is what we need to
Mm-hmm.
do.
Yep, just trying to educate new hunters and stuff. That's one thing we always try doing in this podcast is leaving some sort of advice for new hunters. We every single episode we've started off with some piece of advice.
Yeah,
So,
the first question for every new hunter is why do you want to hunt? The reasons why you want to hunt. Why do you want to go out there and hunt? Well, I want to go out there and kill something. Well, that's not the right reason to go out there and go hunting. Okay.
mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to go out there and how do you say, I have to go get food. I have to feed my family.
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing to say. Go for it. Right. Do it as ethically as you possibly can. Do it legally. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're just going to go out there just to get views and get, likes and people patting you on the shoulder, oh,
Mm-hmm.
wow, what a monster buck. That's not the
Just
right
for
reason.
attention.
Just for attention. It's not the right reason.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. That's right.
But yeah, thank you so much for being on. And again, what socials can we find you on?
Instagram, Facebook, obviously TikTok. I don't have a YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 56 years old, man. It's difficult for me to try to catch up on the
Mm-hmm.
technology. Like my daughters have, for example, they
Mm-hmm.
have great knowledge in technology. Sooner or later, of course, because of the product, I'm gonna have to get on YouTube and
Mm-hmm.
start promoting my product. But yeah, Instagram, and I don't really post very much, to be quite honest with you. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
really posting very much on Instagram, nothing on Facebook once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Even on TikTok, I mean, it'll go weeks, months before I'll post anything because I
Mm-hmm.
just don't have the time. I'm very, very busy, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to put out, how do you say, blah 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 and try to get likes. I want to try to put a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of effort into the videos that I do. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't post as much, but I know Corey posts a lot, which is great. I wish I had the time to do it. But yeah, I mean, that's the medias that you can find me on. Welcome to reach out to me anytime, which people do. They'll find me on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook Messenger and we'll have conversations, which is great. But I'm always willing to help a youth hunter do
Mm-hmm.
better and become better as a woodsman or an outdoorsman, as I call it. Yeah.
Definitely. And then BuckInABag.com.
BuckInABag.com. Correct. That's right. Just like
Right.
BUCK. Yeah, the buck.
Yep.
Yeah, buck in a bag. Yeah.
All right, we will go ahead and wrap this up for this week. Thank you so much to everyone that tuned in. Thank you for joining us. After this live, this video will live on our YouTube under the podcast playlist. And then the audio format of this will go to Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, just off in the podcast land. And if you guys are on those, it would be incredibly helpful if you left, 5 stars on the podcast on there to help us grow and get pushed into the algorithm over there. So
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Ped. And
appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure seeing you, your face, and getting a chance to talk to you for over an hour. It was wonderful. It was great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Have a